welcome to another interview. So today's interview is a really special one. I'm going to be talking with Barbara Mocan, and I met her a few months ago. And when I heard her story, the first thing I said was like, wow. Her story started with a car accident and is really full of inspiration. She's been paralyzed, but now she's walking. So Barbara, thank you for joining me.
Welcome, Maya. First, I would like to say hello all to the audience and apologize about my English because I haven't spoken English in public for 22 years. And I have to say that this for me today is really big challenge and the first step out of my comfort zone, you know, like we will talk in this interview about it. And I have to say that I'm really honored about Maya's invitation, and I have to say that I admire Maya because of her courage and because of her work. I find really, really necessary and important to talk about with people and abroad. And thank you, Maya, for inviting me.
Well, Barbara, I have to say that your English is perfect, so don't worry. But, you know, going out of the comfort zone, so everything started in 2005. I think that was a bit more like out of the comfort zone with, you know, your car accident. So, like I said, you know, everything started in 2005. Could you share what happened and what kind of fracture you had?
Okay. In January 2005, I got a car crash, and it was really foggy and icy, and weather conditions were really bad. And when I was going home from work, the fox crossed my street, and I didn't want to run her, so it happened. And I got a really bad head trauma, and I had a cervical spine fractured in C5 to 6-7, and I've got a spastic tetraplegic, and then I was paralyzed.
Okay, so because you wanted to save one life, you actually end up paralyzed. So how did your life look like before this accident?
You know, I was really hyperactive. I was doing a lot of projects. I was really full of energy. I was working a lot and a lot of projects. I was working from my 13 years like a student, and I finished in that period of time 2 faculties. I got 2 jobs, and I established my own dance company.
Wow, so that was full on. You were extremely busy person, as I can see. So when this accident happened, you know, how did the first few days or maybe weeks look like?
I have to say that it was like in a dream, you know. For the first 48 hours, I was really feeling bad. I was throwing, my headache was really bad, and I couldn't see clearly, I couldn't hear enough, and a voice inside of me was telling me that if I go to sleep, I won't wake up again. And I didn't want to go to the doctor because I thought it's everything okay, it will pass, you know. But then I gone, and I was there for 5 times, and I got really lucky. I said I was blessed and I was cursed because in 5 times there was two people, and it was a doctor and the nurse. And I have blessed because the nurse was seeing that my condition was really going bad, but the doctor all the time, I was good, that's nothing, come another week, you know, and it was like this.
So that's a scary thing, you know, if you have there 2 people and one is like, damn, that's maybe not a good thing. And then there is a doctor, he's saying like, yeah, not to worry about. So I can imagine that it was scary. So what kind of prognosis did the doctors give you? What did they say about your potential outcome?
It was like this, you know, that for first 5 days I was on emergency every day, and it was okay, everything. And then went to 2 weeks passed by, and I was organized everything, a new car, go to work again, to be with my dancers and so on. And before that, I gone to my physiotherapist, and it was Sunday afternoon, and I felt that I couldn't move enough, that my legs are so, like a butter, and something warm came down on my right leg, and I said, oh shit, this is my urine. And I said, okay, I will go to rest and then I will be okay. And in the Monday morning, I went to the physiotherapist, and he just saw me across the hall on the doors, and he just asked me, Barbara, for how long are you in this state? And I said, from yesterday afternoon. He said, come here. He put me on the table. He do two tests, and he only said to me, emergency, and you have 6 hours until you will be paralyzed from neck down. And I said, are you serious? And he said, yes, very serious. And I said, but I have, from 2 hours now, I have a dance course and I have to go, I have to work, I have all organized, I can't leave my girls. And he said, your life or your work? And I said, okay. And then I gone to the emergency, and you won't believe there was the same doctor with the same sister. And he said to me that it's not good, that it's okay. It's really a little bit worse than previous times, but that I should go home and come next week. And then nurse said, doctor, should we send this girl to the specialist immediately because she's really in bad state? He said no. But she told me that I should go to the hospital, to the neurologist, and I went. And then started that they didn't believe me, neurosurgeons didn't believe me that it's possible to have such an injury. And so it was from one department to another, and then they sent me home. And I was left all alone for almost a year and a half. And then came a doctor from abroad, and he examined me, and he said that I'm the 10th case on the world between the sports which have the same injury, and that should be done the operation. And when after, I think it was 1 year and a half, one doctor, neurosurgeon in Ljubljana, heard for me and for my state, and he called me to come in the hospital. And he told me that I got only 50% of chance to be well, not to be vegetable or anything. And in 5 minutes, I said, I'm in. And we did the surgery, and the surgery was really huge and massive, and we did it, was succeeded. And after that, he told me that it should be the reconstruction in the period of time 7 or 10 years, but depends on me how I'll be treated, my body and myself.
Wow. I don't know how I would react in this kind of, situation, but yeah, what you just described with first, like you have 6 hours and then nothing else. And then you came to the hospital and there is the same doctor.
Yes.
So about this prognosis, and everything that was happening, how did you feel hearing this, and what was at that time going on in your mind?
Mm-hmm. I have to admit that for first 6 months, I didn't really realize how serious was my condition. I was lying in bed and I was counting all the mathematics angles of the windows and spires on the ceiling. And then one thought crossed my mind, because it was interesting thing that when the accident happened that evening, I've got an assistant which was with me on the dance course, and hour and a half before we finished, she asked me if she could go home before. And before I asked her, I went to one couple to show them new steps, and just a vision crossed my mind that something terrible could happen. And I said no, because I felt really responsible for her, because she was a young driver. And before of that, in November 2004, when I was going from work to home on the same road, I just said myself, Barbara, do you think that this lifestyle is good for you? I was working 20 hours a day, sometimes 22 hours, and I said, no, I have to change something, you know. And I asked myself, what will stop you or will be the biggest punishment for you, you know? And I said, maybe a flu for 1 week. And I said, oh, that's nothing. That's a vacation, you know. And then the second thought crossed my mind, and I said, maybe a pneumonia for 1 month, you know. And I thought in that 6 months, and I said, oh my God, I'm not working, you know. This is not a pneumonia. I'm 6 months now in the bed lying. And then I just look up and I just asked, what do you want me to know? What is your message? What I have to learn, you know? This was on one side. And on the other side, I was really feeling humiliated because if someone is telling you at your early 30s that you are lying and you're sitting in front of him and your urine is leaking down, that's something wrong, you know? And I was giving up, proving them that they were wrong, that something really hard, it's not good for me, that something is really bad happening in my body. Then I just give up and I was just focusing on myself and my recovery.
Yeah, and you know what you just described with this 6 months and 1 year before your accident and what was happening in your mind. I remembered my so before my accident, I had the same kind of thoughts because at that time we were working on our first cookbook, and I was also working like 24/7, and I had that feeling like, oh, if I would had only 3 days to rest, like doing nothing. And then, I don't know, maybe a month later, I was, in bed for 3 months. So really yeah, like the same, really similar thing. So you had the operation, so the first operation, and it was successful. And then you were, of course, recovering, but then you had a huge setback a few years later. So what happened in that a few years later?
Yeah, it was the interesting, you know, because between 2005 and 2009, I was traveling from one door to another, from one specialist to another, and then I went to one doctor who was really specialist for head trauma, and he said to me that I was treated wrong at the first place because I had really a bad head trauma, and that nobody knows how will be the consequences, and it will show in 5 years. And in 2013, exactly 5 years later, it started like like I had brain stroke, you know, my left side like this. I couldn't swallow down. I couldn't breathe cool. And when my friends called me, they thought that they got a wrong number because I got such a strange accent, and I was singing instead of talking, you know. And
Wow.
I couldn't go to the doctor because I got so much trauma in my head that nobody will believe me because they didn't commit to do all the diagnoses which were necessary to see what's really wrong, you know. And so it was, and I went to the doctor, and then was from 2013 till 2017, 4 years searching and giving up here. And then I searched and I found a clinic in Switzerland where they were immediately for the operation, and they told me they could do it by the health insurance which I had paid in Slovenia. But consilium of doctors here in Slovenia told that I'm really okay and that I need only some of physiotherapy, you know. And I was again, oh my God, what should I do? And then my condition was really, really bad in 2017. In 1 month, it was like this from hour to hour, from day to day. And in 1 week, it was so, so bad that we found one neurosurgeon who believed me and who was willing to operate me for the reconstruction and for the new massive trauma in my neck. And in 2 days, I had to organize the logistic, the money, and everything and I went to Paris to do the surgery and to save my life.
So what was happening in Switzerland? So in Switzerland, you found a doctor and he believed you, but then how come that you decided to go to Paris and not to Switzerland?
Because we, after this period of time of 4 years, we lose the contact, and I didn't find him again. So.
Okay. Well, but everything happens for a reason. So maybe that was like, maybe that wouldn't be the right path. So it was better to go to Paris. So what would you say, since, you already have behind you like 13 years of this, like, going from being okay, really busy, to being paralyzed, to having 6 hours to get to the hospital, like a huge journey. So what would you advise someone who is right now struggling with something similar?
I have to admit that I had a really big struggle and fight inside of me to go to search for medical help because of my state. But in the other side, I became such a demanding patient who is really informed very well, who knows a lot of things, because one of my degrees is a degree from radiology, because I'm engineer of radiology and I know a lot about the medicine. And then I search a lot, I asked all the time, I was connecting with doctors, with some medical people, and I'm not satisfied with some empty answers and no solutions. So I took because all of that, I took responsibility for me, for my health, and for my life, And I wanted to be treated like an equal partner with doctors. But this is impossible because doctors don't treat patients on that way, And but from my point of view, I know some doctors in person, and I know when they came in the question of their medical health, they are more demanding and difficult than I am. So I believe the third thing, which is for me very important, I believe that everything is vibration, that everything is energy, that we all have vibration, that everything has its own vibration. And medicine heals a spot, and when not an energy, and when we focus on that spot, we stuck in our illness, and this is a blockage. And the acupuncturist, they really do on that spot where is the blockade, and then the energy flows and illness is gone. And for the third time, I had that stroke in my belly, when I was coming from Paris to Ljubljana in the recovery center. I was the first time they told me, the first day they told me that I will be really, really lucky and happy if I will be sitting again and if I come to the wheelchair. You know what shock was this for me? Because I was feeling my body all the time, and I was fighting and proving them that they are wrong. So I very optimistic predicted that after 2 months, I will go home on my legs, and I did it. And do you imagine how should be a result if I focused on only that one spot? So my advice is trust yourself, listen to yourself, listen to your body, because it's very, 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 very smart, and it tells you everything you need to know. Inform, learn, ask, search, be acquainted with all your rights as a patient, because in every time it's your right to say no, because your life and your responsibility, and you have to demand that your body has to be respected and that they should respect you too. So search until you don't find the right person, the right doctor, the right specialist, and then all the doors are open.
Yeah, and I I so agree with you. And, you know, I was studying veterinary medicine, and I had like a knowledge of like Western medicine. But then, you know, on the other hand, that's not it. That's not enough. And I so agree with you in regards to vibration and also thoughts, and what kind of thoughts we are feeding and having. And, you know, if we are focusing on something negative, of course, it's impossible that something really positive would come out of it. So I so agree with you. And I also agree with you that, yeah, you have to listen to yourself. And sometimes it's maybe also necessary to do something that you feel okay, even though you heard from XYZ, maybe that's not the best thing. Because, you know, you're gonna be living with consequences. So if you listen to your heart, if you listen to yourself, you know, it's easier to live with those consequences than if you suppress that and say, yeah, I'm just gonna be listening to those people there who knows what's the best for me, which sometimes really doesn't happen. So yeah, I thank you for sharing that. So challenges, you know, are a big part of every recovery story. So what were your top 3 challenges in this journey? What was happening?
You know, the first thing for me, it was losing my independency. That means that I wasn't able to take care of myself. But that doesn't mean that you lose your independency in your mind, you know. This is very important. The second thing was physical changes on my body. You know, everything changes. Your physiognomy of your face, of your body, my fingers, my arms, my legs, my belly, my skin so dry. I almost got all my hair lost, you know, nothing. Now they are growing a little bit, and this is really hard to take. The third challenge for me was confrontation with my dearest friends when I came back, because I was gone on 2, and everybody thought that I will come back with on 2 legs, but I came paralyzed. For me, it was okay because I was really in peace with myself, in inner peace. And when we saw, I think that the positive vibes and the humor, and we just did it. But I would like to express 2 more things I found really important, and it's keeping the positive vibration. It's really hard. It's going up and down and up and down, and I think maybe this is the most important thing. And the feminine side. The feminine side is really hard to take, and it's really big challenge.
Yeah, and you know, I love that you are a woman and that you understand this, because you know, I'm working with ladies, and this is such a big thing and a big topic. You know, how to take care of yourself and still feel feminine and still feel okay. And you know, because I don't know, for a lot of ladies, like, yeah, I'm going to the spa and I'm going to do the hair and, you know, my nails and having makeup. And then all of a sudden, you are unable to do that. And, you know, the recovery is challenging. It's extremely challenging on its own. But then having these kind of things can really, spiral a bit down. So, yeah, I love that you mentioned this. But talking something different from this, let's talk about a bit about diet, because you know, of course, mindset is important, and it's crucial in every recovery. But did you change your diet in any way from 2005, and do you think that this is really helpful or not? If someone is facing similar challenges, should they do something, or it's like, diet, it's not so important?
I have to admit that before 2005, I was eating like everybody, maybe just a combination of the food, sometimes junk food, but nothing special. After 2005, I was looking with the combination with spices, on the traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and so on. And I was eating a little bit of meat too. But after a few years, I became a vegetarian and vegan. Why? If I go back, I believe that everything has energy. And I believe that energy has animals and plants. And I'm certain that that certain food can help us grow our vibration higher. And I think that this is really, really important because the nutrition we given in we digest can support our immune system, our body, and our recovery journey. And now I think that it's important too that you have the ritual of eating. For me, I like to eat in the quiet, slowly, with gratitude, with every piece which is coming in me. I think it's really important the state of mind when you're eating too, not in front of TV, like like this. And before of that, we say, "Oh, I have to go on diet. I have to put this out," and like this. I don't like a word diet. It's not anymore in my vocabulary because diet means that you have to struggle with something which is forbidden. And we all know that if something is forbidden, we want it more and more and more. So for me, now it's better to say, "Oh, I got a new menu. It's delicious," like that.
Yeah, and I think that this is really important. What you also said. Eating mindfully and not just shoveling in and being in a rush and everything. But do you think that this change of eating and diet helped you in any way, or I know that it's pretty hard to say, yeah, my recovery would be completely different because we cannot go back in time and redo everything. But do you think that it helped you?
Yes, because certain food can provide some of the chemical reaction in our body. I mean, like doing the B vitamin, the D vitamin, And if you put all together, it comes to the one a good nutrition, which is the best for you and for your body. You just have to search in yourself, ask yourself what is good or not. You have to observe yourself, because when you eat something which is not good for you, you have bad feeling in your stomach, you don't feel good. And if you eat something which is good for you, you're full of energy, you're lighter, and your mind is better, and it's better, it's fluent.
Yeah. And before you also mentioned that you feel better when you're eating, foods with higher vibration, but that's also, on a completely, how to say, body thing. So our gut flora, when we feed it with good foods, we actually feel happier because gut is our second brain. So, most of these chemicals and everything is happening down here, not here. And going through recovery can be depressing and people feel really down. So I agree that it's really important to change the diet and maybe stop eating something and add more vegetables and fruits and things that help you then to recover faster.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So why do you think that your story is different? So what do you think that you did differently so that now you have different results than maybe a lot of people in similar situations?
I think that the fact that you became in this lifetime for 2 times tetraplegic is really rare. That your body can do it to walk again is really rare. That your mind, soul, and spirit can do it, it's really rare. And that you have such a great two opportunities of this life to search of the beauties which inspires you, I think it's really divine and it's precious. And I didn't give up on myself. And like I said before, we all have energy, vibration, positive, negative, ups and downs, and so on. And if we spot only on that what is wrong with us, we put all the energy there, and we don't allow good things to come with our well-being, you know. And we can have 1,000 of patients who have the same diagnosis, but at the same time, we have 1,000 different bodies, minds, beliefs, opinions, and different. There is no equal situation and prognosis, and that's good because you always have the space and time to change your body, to change your mind, and on the other side, to change your beliefs, you know, and your opinions. So for me, I think that it's very important. Don't be a victim. Take what situation is giving you and do your best.
And you know, when you started answering this question, I so agree with that saying, you know, what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on negative things, it's really hard to get out of this and get something positive. And that's the reason why I'm so extremely passionate in mindset and emotions and how to, you know, lift people up, because that's the only way how they can really recover in the best possible way. And at the beginning, you already slightly mentioned something, but I want to ask you a bit more about this. And that's the, why do you think this happened to you? And do you believe that there is a bigger reason behind all of this, or is it just an accident?
With this fact, I don't think this is an accident. I think that my body is my mission. For me, for medical people, for doctors, for patients, for everybody out there. And I think that it's very important to talk about it more and more and more, and to do something in the way that the patients are the equal partners with the doctors. I think it's very, very important.
And you know, before we start recording this interview, you also shared with me that you talked to many injured people with similar injuries, and you know, of course, you already have like 13 years behind you.
Yeah.
And you also had a lot of opportunity to talk to people who were struggling with their recoveries and who also were on the edge of giving up. So what is the number one advice you gave to someone in this kind of situation, or for example, would you give to the person that is in a really negative place right now?
If it's so bad and if it's so hard, please try to find at least or just one positive thing. It could be the sun outside, it could be the rain outside, it could be the wind, it could be the bird singing, it could be your bed who is giving you the shelter, it could be your pillow which is supporting your head, it could be your orthosis which is giving you help to move around, it could be your wheelchair who is giving you, you know, the road to the outside world. It could be the computer which is giving you the connection with people. You know how we come till the 10th good positive things. And when you start with some one thing, it just goes and expands on many things which are positive. And this is one thing I appreciate, and I give the advice. The second thought is just laugh. Do from the tragical situation, do the comical one. It's yours. And it's really hard and it's really difficult, and just laugh. Quiet your mind, and just listen to yourself, to your inner voice, what is telling you, and try over and over and over, and be patient with you, and show the people when you're vulnerable and when you need help. It's okay with that, you know. We are all people, and do whatever it takes that helps you. Take notes, take videos, take pictures, because when you're in bad depression, or when you're down, you can see and compare what is your improvement, you know, and what have changed. And the most important thing, go out, talk with people, have people who are positive around you, not only that which are negative. And you know what? I know that really important is biorhythm and a routine. This is a safety and it's a comfort zone. It was for me too, and still is in some way, you know. But I just say, kick yourself in the ass and do at least one different thing a day, and you'll see the progress.
Yeah, and you know, I love all of these three things, and it's such a big part of you know, it was such a big part of my recovery, and also I'm encouraging my clients to do the same, because you know, focusing on good things, and like you said, you know, even if you're on a wheelchair, you have a wheelchair, you know, you're not on the floor, so you have something to move around, and it's so true. And my gratitude practice always starts, usually I do it in the evening, and I start just with the pillow that I'm laying on, you know, because otherwise it's like, oh, what am I grateful for? I don't know. But if you start with small things like, oh, I have a pillow, it's so comfortable, and then go out,
Yeah.
it's so much easier to do that.
Yeah.
So besides all of the exercises and physical therapy, and you know, this is of course an important thing of every recovery, but besides that, what are your two go-to practices that you know that you couldn't achieve what you achieved without them?
First of all, I have to say that my body has saved my life so many times, but literally, I mean, some inner voice, when it was really, really hard, told me, put your leg there, wake up, you know, straight, don't do this, don't do that. And when I talked with a surgeon and with my physiotherapist and the team I have beside me, they all say, oh my God, that was really true, because if you didn't do that, you would be dead, you know? And this is the first thing. And then for me, it's really important visualization and meditation and clearing my mind, because it's like a garden, yeah, or like a house. You have to do everything, or like a car, you take it to the service when you need it, you know. And optimism and humor, I think that these are really important things, and a huge will to live, you know. When I wake up, at my room, I just express, oh wow, I'm a tetraplegic. I can talk. I'm not a vegetable, you know. And I was so happy, and that was enough for me in that time, you know. I was really, really grateful.
Yeah, and this is so important because, you know, like we are discussing this for the last half an hour, a bit more, about how important the mindset is. And, you know, even if you are in this kind of situation, you are still alive. You are still, you know, you still have the opportunity to improve. And but that's only if you believe that you're capable of, and sometimes that means that you have to dig into your belief system and change those things. And this is so important topic. In your recovery, or actually in those 13 years, there were probably times when you knew that there is like maybe 50+% of chance that something could go wrong, you know, being paralyzed and not knowing what could happen. You know, there are different options what can actually happen. So did you ever prepare yourself for the possibility that the doctors were actually right about your recovery and potential outcome or not?
Oh yeah, it was really hard. You know, when the first time it took me 3 years and a half that I was walking again and I was able to do the work and so on, the projects and everyday life. And this time I had two options. A really, really huge, massive operation with great risiko or death. And so for me, it was that little chance, 100% of chance to live. So I was ready for everything, you know, and my medical situation was getting so worse, like I mentioned before, that and so quickly that I hadn't any other options, Maya, to think about it or to live at all, you know, and in every case wouldn't end well. So I take the opportunity for that chance, and I really bet everything on me, on my body, on my surgeon, on medical team, and on everything. And then I just said to myself, okay, what now? What is left for you, you know? And I prepared myself mentally really, really, really well. I accepted my state and my condition and situation with peace and with great trust that if I do everything, if he do everything, the medical staff will do everything, then it's impossible that something good won't come out, you know? And I prepared myself like this, that I wrote the instructions for use for case if I become a vegetable without my voice, you know?
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah. And you know, before also, because now we know each other for a few months and I'm so extremely happy to know you. And you also shared with me that, you know, in all this time, you also, also did something with dancing. And can you share just a bit about that? Because it's really inspiring to hear this kind of things as well, that even though you had such a challenges, you were still following your passion and movement.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting that when I was in the recovery center here in Ljubljana, I wasn't walking right, you know, and I still don't. Don't get me wrong. I'm still walking like a duck, you know, and I have a lot of things to do with my body and with my condition. But the brains are so smart that they knew which moves are in my memory, in my muscle memory, in my cellular memory, and I wasn't able to walk really, so I was start to dance, and I was dancing pretty cool, you know. At first, my legs were doing okay, but my upper body wasn't, and then my upper body was waking up and my legs didn't move, you know. It was just like static on the floor. And then in March I just figured out how my body can connect in the diagonals to do the movement, you know. But now I don't the practice because I have some difficulties with my body in this moment, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I won't do it, you know.
Yeah. And you know, so what you just described, and that right now you are in a bit challenging moment of your recovery. So what is next for you? Because probably you are not finishing. This is not your finish line. So no. So what is next for you?
Oh, you know, I got so much in my mind, so much projects to do, to finish some things, and you know, I have some goals to achieve. But life is full of surprises and brings us challenges on every step we make, and depends only on us how will we treat them and how we will deal with them. And for me right now, it's really difficult because I have such a great diaphragmatic spasms that I really, really hard. I'm talking, sitting, moving, and doing anything. the best thing for me is now just stand still like amoeba, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the second challenge which I have now is I got some process in my spinal cord, and I won't host it anymore. I said goodbye, you know, bye bye, and I got new menu, totally no menu.
Menu, yeah.
Shocking, but it's good. It's delicious. And I got some goals. I committed to myself that I will walk, run, speak for people who can't. Um, I will I will take care for my feminine side with a great woman, Bernarda Marot, who was the second Miss of the World, the second place of the Miss of the World in 19th. And then I got so much projects to finish, and I want to go outside to people, to talk to them, to tell them that everything is possible, and that our bodies are such a smart universums on this planet that that always tend to harmony and balance, no matter in which situation you are. And I think I know that I have to accomplish my mission, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. And I know that with lots of love and gratitude, I can do it.
So yeah, because my question is like, so do you believe, and I think that you already answered that, but do you believe that you are capable of being the same as you were before the accident, or pretty close to that?
No. No. Not the chance. No.
But
No.
do you believe that it's possible to have a full life even though, you know, these challenges are popping up right now?
Yes. You know, somebody could think, oh, she's crazy. She doesn't know what is she talking about. She's only laughing. She's only smiling. But you know, it's really hard. It's really hard. And I got really shocked previous Thursday, and I really snapped myself in my stomach because I was at 3 doctors that day, and because of that process in my spine, on the cord of spine, I was lying to myself for 1 month and a half. Oh, it will go, it will be, it will be, it will be, and then this is not acceptable to myself. And then I started to fight, you know, and I'm convinced that I can do it, because it's not possible to go through all of this and then one little light bubble in my spine could, you know, cut me down.
Yeah.
It's not possible, you know. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah. But you know, I know that, and you also know that this is not the end for you. So I would love to catch up with you again, like maybe in 5 years. And, you know, I think that in 5 years can happen so many things, because even in a few months can happen so many things. So Barbara, that was an amazing talk. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, everything that you learned about this recovery and the challenges. And, you know, it's such an important message. And like I said, you know, I love that you're a woman, because, you know, talking about femininity and how to take care of yourself and how to still feel good in your body is such an important topic. So thank you so much. And of course, if listeners have any questions, post them down below, and Barbara will answer them, or I will share these questions with Barbara, and, you know, we can do maybe sometime in the future like a group thing, and, you know, group session or anything like that. So Barbara, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you for inviting me. And all the audience, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up. Thank you.